Hi everyone, I'm Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And today we're bringing you another episode of Live Now, where Filippo and I talk about cars that are live right now on Cars and Bids.
Before we get started, big news, we have a new merch store with cool new stuff. Like Filippo's this hat and Kennan's shirt, the Carrera GT, that's our best seller. There's this one too, and a lot more cool stuff. And you buy some merch and you can win one of these cars from our adventure video series, which you can watch on the Doug DeMuro YouTube channel. More information by clicking the link in the description below to check out our merch.
But we're going to begin with cars that were live, then by talking about cars from last week that happened to sell. And Filippo, take it away by talking about the very first car.
We talked a bunch on the podcast and on the show last week about the Lancer Evo 8 that we had live last week. And it sold for $24,250, 153,000 mile car. So it's a higher mile car, but it's so incredibly rare to find one that's stock, or even mostly stock as this one was. If they're getting this amount of money with these many miles, it shows that there is strong demand for unmodified, great spec Lancers.
Sure. Well, it's just so rare because so many of them are modified, like you said, with in an inch of their life. To see one at all that isn't, regardless of the miles on it, makes it rare. And Blue Bayou, which is one of the weirdest color names.
Great color.
I think for $24,250, to be honest with you, I feel like it was a buy still. I think that's like a very fair value. And also I think it's so cool.
Keep it unmodified and you will get your money back.
Well, some of us believe you keep it unmodified regardless, but yes, that is true. Keep it unmodified, enjoy it as it is, enjoy like the essence of the Evo 8. So that was one car that sold. Another one that sold was this Lotus Evora that I mentioned. $36,200. It's such a value. These cars are such a good value because you get relative reliability for an exotic car.
3.5 liter Toyota V6.
Yes, great looking. 4 seats in spirit, maybe more than actual use.
After we talked about these cars last week, I spent a while looking because you made a point. They could be a good fit for me. The rear seats, every single listing, every single forum post describes as it's unusable.
Right. But they exist. In theory.
They exist. And my dog could fit in there.
Well, that was my point. Your dog could fit. Human beings, not so much. You're not buying this car anyway. But for $36,200, that is a value.
Cool car.
I really enjoy those cars. Glad that it sold well. And the last one was one that you mentioned. Yeah. And this sold very well, I think.
Turns out these old trucks still quite desirable. 37 grand for a pretty low mile F350. Cool truck. Thrilled to have it. Clean. And also no reserve, as always, has brought the money.
Yep, absolutely. And inspected too. This person got a Lemon Squad inspection.
That certainly helps, especially on a truck this old, to just know that, everything works as it should.
Hell yeah, brother. But for 37 grand, I'm thrilled that this thing sold. And it was a nice one. Even like I said last week, I looked at that and I was like, damn, that's a cool truck. All right, so diving into this week. We're going to go to a completely different extreme from a truck. We're going to start by talking about this 992 GT3 RS. Now, this car is extreme to begin with, but this one is really desirable for a number of reasons. Number one is its paint to sample color scheme. So it's Smyrna green, I believe that's how it's pronounced, which looks great. It's kind of like this minty, non-metallic green that, look at that.
And then a different light becomes a little bit oakier. What an awesome color.
It seems, it does seem like a color that changes a lot depending on the lighting situation, but really cool color, very eye-catching, as if that gigantic GT3 RS wing wasn't eye-catching enough for you, and the graphics weren't enough either. The color really makes it pop. But a couple of things to note. 120 miles, the car is basically brand new, which is great. It also has a ton of desirable equipment, including the Weissach package, which adds tons of carbon fiber, strips some more weight out of the car, 33 pounds out of the car.
Wow.
Not that it really needed it. I mean, the car was already very light. Right. I know it doesn't sound like much, but the car's already really light, so it's kind of impressive they did that. It also has these 20 and 21-inch magnesium wheels. Acres and acres and acres of carbon fiber, like I said. It's a really important option to have and a very, very expensive one. But it has other stuff than that, PCCBs, it has PDLS Plus, race techs everywhere, which is like their version of Alcantara. It's like on the dashboard.
I legitimately was wondering.
Yep.
No idea.
Something told me that you wouldn't know that, so I'm happy to share the knowledge.
Deviated stitching and racing yellow.
Yes, deviated stitching, which all Porsche people will go nuts about as they drive to cars and coffee very slowly in a car that can go very fast. But this car it's a really nice spec. as the Porsche people would say. And I'm thrilled to have a car like this on the site. It's basically brand new, and I'm kind of curious to see exactly how much it brings. But what a cool car.
So you can't buy one of these. You and I cannot walk into the Porsche
us mere mortals
and get one.
No.
But I can bid on this car and win it.
Yes.
And that's notable. Also, the keys are Smyrna green. Fun fact.
Yes, the keys also are the same color as the car, which is a deep Porsche nerd thing to have. Look at that. And they even say one says French Sport on it, which is tough. But nonetheless,
special wishes.
It is a really cool car. But yeah, to your point, if you wanted to build this yourself, if you like this spec, you'd be waiting forever. If you have spent enough money to be chosen by Porsche to do so, I mean, it just doesn't happen. So if you want to skip the line, this is a really, really good opportunity to do so. So skipping forward to, or going back in time rather, instead of going to the next car, sticking in the theme of lightweight sports cars.
In other words, Kennan chose another one.
Yes, that's right. 2008 first generation Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. So I still feel that these cars are a tremendous value compared to its rival, the 430 Scuderia. For reference, on average of the last 5 years, 430 Scuderias have traded hands around $240,000, what those cars cost. These have traded hands for around $100,000 less than that, on average, according to Classic.com, like just looking at auction data and sales data. They're a tremendous value, and it offers a lot of cool stuff. Granted, most of them are the flappy paddle and E-gear, although it was available with a 6-speed manual. And these can be converted, something to think about. NA V10 power, 522 horsepower. Super lightweight, I think incredibly good looking. The sound is ridiculously good, and they are amazing to drive.
I can only imagine.
And so
super light, you know?
I don't really understand, and they're also rare, 618 of them. So like, I don't really understand why they aren't valued more. And we do see value starting to go up, and I hope appreciation really continues with this car as the Lamborghini brand continues to get more appreciation. I think it's a really, really appealing car. This one has some modifications on it, not a ton, but relatively low mileage, 15,700 miles.
I mean, to be clear, the modifications are tinted windows, tinted taillight,
fender decals,
and a head unit.
Yeah, I mean, you can,
cameras.
yeah, exactly. Right. Stuff you could easily set back to stock if you wanted to. But this side profile shot to me, it's just look how cool that car looks.
Yep.
Oh, damn. That is, if I truly right now, we're really lucky right now. It's hard to pick cars for this week because we have so many desirable cars. But this is like right at the top of the list for me personally. I just think it is so cool and would be so much fun. But let's shift to one of your focus cars. Also kind of lightweight track focused.
That's right.
Out of your comfort zone.
Out of my comfort zone by such a huge margin. This is a 718 Cayman GT4. So 414 horsepower, 4-liter flat six, 6-speed manual on this one, which is relatively rare. A lot of PDKs chosen. Yep. In gentian blue metallic with ceramic composite brakes. Actually, which is generally great options all around. It's just a great spec Cayman GT4. And I think the Cayman GT4 is just one of the best combinations of ready for the track. You can bring this to the track tomorrow and have a great time, but also you can still drive it around. Won't beat you up as much as a GT4 RS. You can actually enjoy driving on the road, and it's got a stick, which does don't.
Critically, it has a manual transmission and buckets, carbon buckets as well. It's a very nicely optioned car. And they are just phenomenal to drive. Great. There's nothing. There's just
I sadly have
never
never driven one, but I got to fix that.
You'll have to, add that to the list of this will be what, the 5th Porsche you've been in, which is Carrera GT was your first Porsche. Cayenne Turbo. What else?
I drove a Cayman, but it was a base tip.
It's our producer's base Cayman. A great car nonetheless.
Yeah, it's great.
No, these cars are phenomenal, and they are like slowly coming down in value in the market, which is nice as Porsche continues to produce more of these, and so enthusiasts can get their hands on them. This one is nicely optioned, and if you were going to do a lightweight Porsche, this is probably what I would see you picking. If you wanted to do like a sporty driver's Porsche.
I agree with that because it really is not overly sporty. Unlike a GT3 RS is a commitment.
Yeah,
a GT4 RS is
real
a commitment.
Yeah.
This is a nice balance.
Well, in addition, like with the 4RS, no manual. You can't roll your own. You put it in drive. This thing, you drive. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
But yeah, and also virtually brand new, 2,200 miles in a 2021 car.
Just a cool car.
Yep, somebody buy this. This is just, I want a Boxer Spider, but
to the track. If you buy it, send us some photos of it on the track.
At least once. All right, sticking with manual transmission sports cars, I now have. So one of mine. Now this is a very important vehicle. Might not seem that way on the surface.
Kennan, guide me through why.
So I love the this generation V8 Vantage and the Vantage Roadster. Yeah. I think they are shockingly reliable cars.
Sure.
They look incredible. I think one of the best designs from Aston's portfolio at the time, which was strong.
Agreed. Yep.
And they are fun to drive. What makes this one special, so it's the 4.7 liter V8. There are two versions of it. There's the 4.3 and 4.7. Then they did the V12 ones too. But for the V8s, this is the later one, more power, which is great. Critically, it's a manual Roadster.
I know, it's rare.
People don't understand how rare these are. According to Aston Martin, right around 500 of these were built.
Wow.
They're
with the 4.7 or just
with the 4.7 manual Roadster. They are
rare.
Yes. For whatever reason, people think these are around. As someone who has looked, because I want a 4.3 manual Roadster quite badly, they don't exist, and the 4.7 is even rarer. And so, like, finding one of these with low mileage, 10,600 miles, which is pretty low, this is a really appealing car that you can go out and use. It's not going to break the bank in terms of reliability. It sounds great. It looks great. It delivers an exotic experience. And to be honest with you, I think it is still one of the most compelling sports cars for somebody who wants to get into something more exotic. I stand behind that. I will have one day, mark my words.
Wow.
Now, I know you think that it's maybe a little bit normal feeling. These cars are kind of, but I think it's part of the appeal.
I haven't driven one in close to a decade since Doug had his Aston Martin Vantage.
Wow, I guess that was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
They're great. They're really great cars, and it is so rare that one of these comes up for sale. As someone who's been looking for a long time, and turned one down on Coronado before I realized how rare they are. I hope hopefully people know how rare this car is, and somebody goes out and buys it. I think
also low miles, unmodified,
Southern owned. Yeah, it's a really special car. So I love that. All right.
Can we move to another
Mercedes
really
wagon man?
I am a Mercedes wagon man.
Tell me about this one.
I'm more of a regular wagon guy, right? I have an E350. I'd buy an E450. But if you want the ultimate in Mercedes wagons, here's a final edition E63S wagon. So an S213 wagon from one of 100. My goodness, it's one of 999 final edition models. It's the ultimate, and you want one, this is the one you have to buy if you want the one. 603 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque from a twin-turbo 4-liter V8. Mm-hmm. Big power, all-wheel drive, all the tech, period. All the E63s generally are pretty well equipped. This one is included in that. And the final edition package adds pretty much every tech option and styling option that you could get.
And they're only building 1,000 of them.
They built 1,000 of them in 2023, yeah.
Yes.
And they're gone. There's no more E63 AMG wagon.
This is the end.
Maybe there'll be an S214, but it seems unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
This is one. You want it? Here you go. Though this one does have two modifications. Paint protection film in the front end, which is a mod, and those HRE wheels.
Yes.
But other than that, it's unmodified. And the HRE wheels do work well with the decals on the side, which were Mercedes.
They're gold. But nonetheless, this car, the 21s were really desirable for a long time because they weren't.
There weren't any in 2022, if memory serves.
There weren't any in 22, and the V8 was allegedly going away. So to see one come back, and this is the chance to get the best tech, the V8, which is one of my all-time favorite V8s. That 4-liter twin-turbo V8 is amazing. And yeah, it's like the last ticket. It's like this really is your last opportunity to own one of these cars with all the things, to have your cake and eat it too, if you will.
It really is such a cool car.
It is a cool car.
Such a cool car. And it's special to have it because any of the final edition ones are rare and they go for legitimately big money. Man, by the way, one of two E63 AMG wagons that we have live right now.
We like fast wagons.
We like fast wagons.
That's kind of our thing.
That's who we are.
Look at the list of equipment that came with the final edition package. That's wild. Well, nonetheless, I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to watch this one unfold, but it makes me sad that like the V8
it might not wagons, be. It might not be, but let's be honest.
But let's be honest.
The C63 has a four-cylinder hybrid.
End of days.
I hope they make an S214 one, but I think the S213 this generation will have a place in enthusiast heart regardless. I
suspect it will be revered as something special as time goes on. So excited to watch that one unfold.
Speaking of something special.
Yes, something in my realm. So this is a 2007 E60 M5. We saw a lot of them. This one's Silverstone, like a lot of them. But critically, it does have a 6-speed manual transmission. It's mostly unmodified. I think the only mods it has, just very light stuff. Facelifted taillights and H&R lowering springs. But critically, it has 32,500 miles. This is like a good example of a very well preserved E60 M5. And to be honest with you, it's just E60s are in a weird spot right now because the E39 has gone through classic status. This is on its appreciation curve, clearly. E60s, because of their reputation for unreliability, have remained suppressed in value for a long time. And as a result, they got cheap. They got modded then because they got in the hands of people who got a 500 horsepower V10 for 12 grand and started, doing stuff to them. And so we're in that attrition period where finding clean preserved ones is hard. It's a real struggle to find them. And so to have the opportunity to buy one that's seemingly very well preserved, I mean, look at that interior. It's
pristine.
These interior, like the lighter color ones, end up looking like absolute trash very quickly. This one does not look like that. This one looks really nice. And also, honestly, having only 32,500 miles out, the problems haven't happened yet. So it's one that can be enjoyed. And I think if you're looking to buy one and preserve it and maybe hold on to it for a while, because let's face it, a 6-speed manual NA V10 sedan,
never going to be made again.
This is it.
This is the only 6-speed manual V10 sedan I can think of.
Yes. I mean, granted, that is niche, but it's true. And so I think if you were going to buy one and hold it for a long time, that is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see how it performs on the site, but it is ultimately a special car.
We've spent a lot of time looking at comps and like what are these cars worth? And it turns out very few, very low mile, mostly unmodified stick E60s.
Yep, very few.
Very few left. Very hard to know their worth. It'll be interesting to see what this gets to.
Yeah, I'm curious. And then on the theme of BMW wagons, because we're in manual BMW wagons.
Kennan almost yelled at me for choosing to talk about this car.
Well, there's so many cool cars to discuss this week.
All right, some of us are wagon fans.
Yes.
Me, of this group. Kennan likes sedans. I'm into wagons.
That's true.
Here's a post-LCI E91 wagon with a 6-speed manual, the sport package, and only 31,000 miles.
Yeah, it's uncommon to see these with low mileage.
An incredibly, incredibly rare car.
And an Alpine White, too.
And an Alpine White. Truly, we sell a fair number of E91s. Most are automatic. We actually sell disproportionately many manuals because we're cars and bids.
Yes.
But none have this low of miles and this good of a spec. Sport package is rare on the E91s. Mm-hmm. Especially rare in E91s with the manual. Also has a premium package. And it just has no miles. Truly. Like if you want an E91 wagon, and frankly, everybody should because they're great small wagons. I've never seen a better one, and I've kept my eye out for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
You're looking at these?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Not anymore, but there was a period of time.
You've owned a BMW. You had an X5 3-liter 6-speed.
Which is basically this engine.
For the E9X platform, this engine in particular is one of the more desirable ones because it's so reliable. It's a really reliable car. But yeah, to see the facelift wagons, they weren't common to begin with. The recession happened; they became even less common. So this is kind of a unicorn for somebody who's really into the E91.
I look twice if I see an E91 period. And if I was walking by and saw the stick,
you look in the window and you're looking for a manual too?
100%. There was a house near where I lived in North Carolina that had an E91 and an E39 wagon.
Taste.
Sadly, not a stick.
Wow, wagon people.
I would have offered to buy it from them at a specific time in my life had it been a stick. And if this had come for sale 3 years ago, I would be bidding.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a very nice E91 wagon. Now for something completely different. Filippo, explain.
Just look at this car. That's all that needs to be said. All right, it's a Nissan Rasheen. It's a Japanese market Nissan SUV. Has a Tesla all-wheel drive. Has a U.S. title. It is just one of the weirdest looking cars I've ever seen. No proportion on this car makes any sense. No angle of this car makes any sense whatsoever.
Let's break it down here for a second. So the front end, if you were to look at just this section, looks pretty normal. Honestly.
No, the front door is a little big. So long.
But then you see that the rear door also very big, and then it just kind of stops.
And then the taillight's not where you expect for some reason. The grille is wild.
The grille.
See it from the 3/4 angle. The grille juts out weirdly. The headlight is giant. The taillight is weirdly located. There's nothing on the tailgate. The tailgate is like blank.
It's very blank.
No part
Except
of this
for
car.
the keyhole. It inexplicably just stuck on
No
it.
part of this car makes sense, and I love it dearly as a result. And also, go to the interior. Look at this. Like, why? Why? This, as far as I can tell, is not a... Okay, the seat covers are a modification, and the wood trim is a modification.
That Nardi steering wheel is definitely also... That can't be factory.
Correct. But it fits, because it's like a retro-themed SUV thing, which, by the way, apparently had a power-moving steering column. It's just like what? Who designed this? Why? And what did they like shrink it from or grow it from? I don't understand.
You know what it feels like? It feels like this is a car that they described it over the phone for design. This is what they ended up with. This picture also looks like, when you adjust pictures, but it doesn't adjust the aspect. It just stay in the same aspect ratio. It just like squishes it. That's what that looks like. This is a bizarre
It's also
car.
like, the cars in video games, the NPC cars that they didn't want to license the actual design from anybody. And so they just like made like a SUV looking thing.
Right.
But did it weirdly. This is
automotive people who weren't automotive designers did it.
Yeah, I need an SUV. Oh, we already have the 3D graphics for the front end from a large sedan. Let me make the headlights bigger.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense, and I love it for that reason.
And it's no reserve too, so it's
no reserve. It's gonna sell. It's already doing really well, actually.
Honestly,
and it's just cool.
It is unusual and esoteric. We saw a lot of weird JDM stuff.
This is,
and honestly, a lot of it is like very affordable. So if you want to look, if you showed up to Cars and Coffee, we'd have the same reaction we did. Nobody would know what sense to make of this thing. It's bizarre. It is really bizarre.
Please, if you're watching this, go to the photo gallery and just click through, and tell me if any of it makes sense to you.
Yeah,
because it doesn't to me.
It certainly does, and it certainly doesn't to me. But that's where we're going to end our discussion today.
Wait, Kennan, I'm so sorry. Go back to that. I just saw something. All right, go to photo 8.
Photo 8.
What is that? Why is the furthest rear section lower?
From the brief time I've spent looking at this thing, there's no making any sense of it, and there's no point to. Sometimes you just have to accept that the world is a weird place, and this is a bizarre vehicle.
Ken and I have finally transitioned from talking about a 992 GT3 RS Weissach to talking about a Nissan Rasheen.
And if that's not Cars and Bids in a nutshell, I don't know what is. And if you're looking for a cool, interesting, or weird car, be sure to go to carsandbids.com where you can bid on these and very many more. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will talk to you next time. Goodbye.